Hi, this is Odeean here. Today I'm having a look at Transformers for Age of Extinction Slug. Well, we call it Slag, but they've changed the name to Slug. We'll get more into that later. I picked this up over at Target. These are coming out in Australia for about $30. Straight off the bat, I've got to say, there's no way in hell this is a $30 toy. It should be really $20 tops, but getting over that for the sake of just looking at the figure for a minute, it does kind of look pretty cool. It comes packaged in dinosaur mode, and I did pick up the two Deluxe dinosaurs just because they do actually look cool in dinosaur mode. He's got a lot of nice ribbing here, nice texture, the detail. I like the way that the glossy plastic and the shadows work together with the kind of deep grooves in him, and something about that really did catch my eye. So he's got his own unique look going for him, which I do like. Looking from the front, he's got this nice vibe of charging the camera, which is pretty cool. One weird thing though is that these fins, which you would kind of assume are the side of his head, they're actually part of his shoulders. So that it probably limits his ability to run a little bit, because you can see as the leg would move back, it bumps into the real shield at the front there. But it does still look cool. We've got some rubber making the mouth, so that's really flexible. It doesn't bother me too much, but it's kind of borderline excessive on this figure, how much rubber there is, and particularly in the back it does bother me somewhat, because I feel like they've totally omitted any kind of paint on the rubber here, which would have been good to tie it in more with this other darker grey shiny area, because it kind of breaks the continuity here. So in the face I'm fine with it, because the design, it sort of fits with these prong bits sticking out, but on the tail kind of lets the figure down a little bit. Another thing which is a little bit problematic is that there's no articulation in this back leg. It's all fake, but I'm not too stressed by that, because he does kind of look good just standing around like that, lifting his legs, standing around, which is really all I need. Slug's weapons are also rubberized, so if I put this back here, you can see he's got these double-pronged swords which are really bendy, and they don't look so good done in rubber. That is disappointing. They peg straight in to the sides of his body here. If you've got him transformed, like his fists on the inside, if they're transformed correctly, it will line up so that he can grab a hold of them. And that's kind of weird, but it does have some logic to it, I guess. If he was going berserk and just running through a crowd, he could impale people on the front, and all those that veered off to the sides who got deflected by his shield, I guess they could be slashed by these big swords that are sticking out the side. So in a way, it's kind of a good way to mount the weapon for a Dinobot, I guess. And if there were ever any kind of rocket launchers or anything, they could be mounted at those fist hole points on the side as well, which is probably a good place to put rocket launchers if any third parties ever do make them. Here's a scale shot of Slug with Grimlock. I don't have Age of Extinction Grimlock yet, and I'm not 100% convinced I like the one that's available at the moment, so like the Voyager one. So at the moment I've held off on buying that, but you can see he's probably a little bit small in comparison to a Voyager figure. But again, I don't have the current Voyager, so maybe this Grimlock's bigger than the current Voyager. Here he is next to, God, I forgot his name. Is it Scorn? Again, I really like the way Scorn looks, his technological dino mode, and I like the colours as well. But Slug does look small in comparison, just because he's so squat down. Let's get this guy transformed. It's not too difficult to transform. So basically, let's pull this bit up, fold his tail over like that. We're going to extend the legs out, bend those little feet back down, like that. This becomes the front of the leg. You can bend these toes out. They're like little elf shoes. That's kind of weird. There's a couple of tabs in the rib cage here that we disengage. That just gives us this whole section to work with for the arms. I guess before I do that, I'm going to have to split this head in half, because it can't bend outwards without doing that. You can see that reveals the head on the inside. Flip out the hand from the rib cage and then fold the ribs up to form a solid forearm. Do the same over here. And lastly, we're just going to bend down these shoulder guards so that they're not sticking up so much. That's it. Transformed. One thing that seems a little bit weird to me is in his final robot form, these thighs seem to be bending the wrong way. Now, I'm going to pop them off and just see what they look like in the other direction. So there we go. I've popped the thighs off and put them what seems to be the right way, and that does look much better bent in the right direction. I'm guessing that's going to have no impact on the dyno mode just because his only real attachment points are at those hips, so it should still fit together when I transform it back. I'll do that at the end. I like this visor at the front here. They've gone for this very medieval look, which is really nice. It's got light piping. Where's the input on the back? Well, it doesn't seem to really be light piping. There's no place for the lights to go in, so it's just a clear piece of blue plastic for the eye, but no actual piping in it. So again, I don't know why they couldn't go with painting for the eye. Maybe I'll have to add that on myself. I like the way that the rib cage bulks out the forearm and it folds up to make it not so hollow. But if you do look, there is one side where it's partially exposed, but it's the place where you don't normally see it on the inner like that, so that's pretty cool. It's got his Autobot symbol on the forearm, which is kind of a weird place to display it, I guess. All in all, it's not too bad of a little figure. One thing that is kind of annoying, I noticed when I was going to pose these swords here, is he has no wrist swivels, only under the bicep and above at the shoulder here, which makes it a little bit hard for posing. He does look pretty cool like that. For a bit of scale, here he is only up to the waist of Voyager Springer, so he's not big by any standards. Here he is next to Masterpiece Smokescreen. Probably best scaling with the current crop of Deluxes. I mean, here's a Deluxe, obviously, but he looks okay with this Starscream. But it's kind of my ongoing complaint. I just don't like this size very much. I won't be buying any of the other movie Deluxes that are more normal characters. I only bought this because I thought his Dino mode looked pretty cool. The Dino mode caught my eye, and I just wanted to fiddle with it for a while, but as a collection, I won't be collecting a whole bunch of these because they just feel really tiny and it's not very satisfying. One cool side effect of his transformation is that he gets a double jointed knee. So we've got the single joint here, but if you want, you can bend it all the way up like that. So if you had some kind of stand to put him in a jumping pose, he has a really flexible knee joint. The ball joints on the hips, pretty stiff, but you don't get to use much of his posability in the shoulder area just because of all this dino junk hanging off him. I've got him back into dino mode now, and you can see that the reversed thigh does slightly interfere with the posability of that back leg. It kind of collides with the rib cage here, but not too much. I think I'm probably just going to leave it like that. But anyway, my final thoughts, at $30, which is what we have to buy them for in Australia, this is not worth it, and I don't think you should pick it up. These are currently going on sale now at a few places for $25. At $25, I still think it's overpriced. I'm betting that within a couple of months we're going to see every Deluxe figure here for $19 when the kind of mid-season sales start that are normally the toy run-up to Christmas. That's normally July. 19 is what this should be. There's no way I think this is worth more than 20. It's a very lightweight figure that doesn't tab together very securely. It doesn't look too good with most other good figures because of its low scale. The colours, although attractive in the hand, don't photograph well because they're very dark, and all the rubberized plastic is a little bit toyish, not so much displayable. But I mean, putting all that stuff aside, in the hand, it is kind of fun to fiddle with for a little while. Just not something that's going to hang around too long in my collection, but I kind of liked it. I think it's a fair enough interpretation of a Dinobot, a new aesthetic for a new movie, and got not too much bad to say about the intent, just the dumbing down of it a little bit. Maybe later on we'll get bigger versions of these. I don't know how prominent they're going to be in the movie. If Dinobots are really prominent and we see a lot of on-screen time for Slug here, maybe we're going to get a Voyager size. That would be pretty cool. Until then, this has been my video review for the Deluxe class Slug figure from Transformers 4 Age of Extinction. I'm Odeean. Thank you for watching.